Hi, this is TJ and welcome to Atheist Edge. We're actually here in Fort Worth, Texas on 7th Street, the World of Beer. We are going to attend the debate between Alix Jules and a Christian apologist about whether or not Christianity is the answer to the race problems in the United States currently. We are going to make an attempt to try to get some street interviews and just ask some impromptu questions of attendees and speakers alike. And without further ado, let's see if we can get some good talks.
Who's the big names that we know are going to be here? Matt Dillahunty cannot make it, so kind of disappointed about that. But Alix Jules is one of the ones is going to be debating. He's been on our show. Who else? Zachary Moore. We've had him on the show. There's Randy Word, if you remember him from the talk he gave. Yeah, he gave that speech on separation of church and state at the Fort Worth Humanists. That's in our playlist. Also, who else? What?
Ezra.
Oh, Ezra Boggs, the founder of the Bible and Beer Consortium. We've already locked him on, so we'll probably have to catch him after the show. And
I think Aron's going to be here too.
Aron might show up. Yeah. So yeah, looking forward to it. So strap in. Should be a fun night.
All right, so I'm here with Mr. Alix Jules. Good to see you again, Alex.
Same here. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing this evening?
Wonderful. I'm ready.
Are you well?
I am.
So this is one of the men of the hour. What's the name of the gentleman that you're going to be facing off against tonight?
Pastor Trey Grant.
Pastor Trey Grant. Okay. So the question is, let me make sure that I frame this correctly. This is Christianity the answer to race problems in America?
Yes.
That is the meat and potatoes of what we're going to be talking about tonight, or what the speakers are going to be talking about tonight. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk to the pastor at some point this evening. I don't want to spoil anything as far as what your talking points are and stuff, but in a nutshell, give us, you're obviously a no in this camp, right?
I'm an easy no.
You're an easy no, right?
I think anyone who's read a history book is an easy no.
Right. So
I think anyone who's read the Bible is an easy no.
Right.
When you're black, there's no religion to turn to. There's no religion, man. It's like Christianity, I don't think so. White people justify slavery and segregation to Christianity, so a black Christian's like a black person with no fucking memory.
I think anyone who can look at the role of white supremacy and Christianity in the United States, the traditional sense,
right?
I think it's an easy no.
There's been, every attempt to justify white supremacy in the past has been biblically based, almost entirely.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I mean,
okay.
And you have 400-ish years of American Christianity, racism, and slavery. If Christianity was going to be a solution, why hasn't been?
Why hasn't it solved it by now?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean, we've had all this time, right?
Now, I'm not going to spoil the premise, but
right. We don't want to get into any talking points that you're actually going to make.
But I think the premise that any kind of ideology like that can actually address that is based on a false premise anyway.
Right.
So it's not Islam, it's not Buddhism.
So not necessarily ideology that's gonna. Okay. So that's where I guess you plan on kind of taking the conversation.
I'll take it eventually. Now the thing is, the debate is not what is the solution.
Right. It's whether or not Christianity is or is not.
Which is just, in my opinion, is the easiest thing it really is. No.
All right.
But yeah.
Well, sounds pretty good. I guess we will let you continue to prepare or do whatever it is that you're going to do for this evening. And with that, we're going to take a short break and we'll come back with some more interviews.
Hey, welcome to Atheist Edge. I'm Jim. I have a special guest with me, Ezra Boggs. He is the founder of the Bible and Beer Consortium that we're at right now. We're currently in progress. I got him for 5 minutes, so we're going to fire away and ask him some quick questions and get him back to his work. Ezra, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, sir.
All right. First thing, how do you feel about how the debate is going so far?
I'm actually really happy with it. That it's opening a dialogue that I think needs to happen from every perspective of belief. I think there are a lot of things that historically Christianity needs to answer for, as well as secular humanism, and this is the forum to have it.
Yeah. Just off the wall question. Recently, the first primate was cloned. It was I think a chimpanzee and a macaque. Okay. If and when we get to human cloning, will that human share a soul with the host? Will it have no soul, or will it have a separate soul, you think? Gun to your head. I know you probably don't know.
Gun to my head. I would say no idea, but I would just say, don't clone me. I'm mess enough all by myself.
Oh, that's good.
Stop with me.
That's good.
Don't do me.
All right. Last question, and we'll get you out of here.
Okay.
This is a question I ask everybody. This is my first Bible and Beer, and I am now a full-blown. I'm going to be coming to every one of them.
Thank you.
I've watched all of them online, but it's a much better. It's a much different experience when you come. Yeah.
The experience, like we've got guys sitting over there that drove from Houston. They don't want to watch the feed. They want to be in the room, and they didn't make it to get a seat. And
they're enthralled.
No, they are.
They're enthralled. People are taking notes. It's awesome.
And here's the thing that I always told people. I wanted the videos out because it wasn't an Animal House drunken frat party. No, people are here taking notes. They're listening. They're going to challenge what was said during Q&A. And this is a valuable discussion. And the church isn't having this discussion.
Totally voluntary. And it's about at least a third non-believers in there. It just maybe even more.
Even more. I would say it's. Yeah.
This on a Sunday night. This would be sparse, and it would be a house cover band doing Blues Travelers. But we're talking big issues here. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I like it. Last question. I tailor this depending on if you're a believer or non-believer. So here's the tailored version. If there were irrefutable evidence right now, right this second, that God, Yahweh of the Old and New Testament, did not exist. No one believes it anymore.
Yeah.
In 24 hours, everyone stops believing. The only reason churches are still around right now are for community and for charity.
Yeah.
All right? So you know it, I know it, the debate is over.
Irrefutable.
Right.
Okay.
Hypothetically, how would it change your life, and what would you do differently starting tomorrow morning?
How would it change my life? I played music professionally for 20 years. From Slipknot to every extreme you can imagine. How would it change my life? I think I would make people like Adolf Hitler look like moral standards.
How so?
If I didn't have a belief system to govern and guide what I thought was true, they gave me safeguards.
Right.
But if I were to say, you know what, do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law, as Mr. Crowley said.
Aleister Crowley, yeah.
Then my law would be a very, very dangerous thing, and
you would change your morality on a dime.
My morality, my ambassadorship for Christ, absolutely governs. I no longer represent me.
Is the Bible the only thing keeping you from raping and killing?
No.
Or any immoral act?
No. No. I mean, as a believer, you believe the indwelling of the Holy Spirit, the guidance of the Spirit, etc., etc.
But you would absolve yourself of morality? I mean, you would just go willy-nilly through the world?
If I knew, I mean, Paul even said in Corinthians.
I know which one you're talking about.
If the Apostle Paul says, then we are the laughing stock of society, that's right. I mean, if you're just going through the motions, then why go through those motions?
Great answer.
So, we need to speak again, probably at greater length, just to discuss.
He's a busy man. We're going to get him out of here. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Bumper, talk right into the camera and say, we usually say, hi, I'm Ezra Boggs, and you're watching Atheist Edge. But in this case, since you're a Christian, I want you to say, hi, I'm Ezra Boggs, and even Christians watch Atheist Edge.
Okay. Tell me when.
All right. Look straight in the camera.
Loud.
Go.
Hi, I'm Ezra Boggs, and even Christians watch the Atheist Edge.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Thank you for your service.
Yes. Oh, thank you. All right.
I keep secure what you fought and defended.
Oh, dude. That means a lot to me.
Ezra.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
TJ. All right, welcome back. We got Randy Word. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Metroplex Atheist. He's a board member, former president. He is one of the guys that gets the meetup going together for us in Arlington when Metroplex Atheist meets up. We're still at the debate. The is Christianity the answer to the race problems in America? So we're having some interesting conversations about politics, about race in America, about Christianity in particular. One of the things, though, that I did want to ask Randy about, because we were talking a little bit about this earlier, and as far as the weight of the opinion of white people in America, what is your stance on our legitimacy to lend our voice to this discussion?
Well, because we typically are the other side of that discussion in a lot of ways, or the perception is that. So we certainly should be in the discussion. Everybody should be in the discussion, not getting a solution unless everybody's in the discussion.
Yeah. You said something though earlier that kind of like gave me a little bit of pause. Like you said that you couldn't see it from the other side, so you didn't know how appropriate it was for us to weigh in on some of these topics.
Well, I'm not sure it's not appropriate for us to weigh in, but are we going to be on target and correct about how we weigh in or what we say?
Okay. Yeah.
What I said earlier was I can't walk in the shoes of a black person or a woman or anybody that's not me, for that matter.
Right.
So how their mind works, what they perceive as reality to them,
right,
even though I may or may not agree with it, from my perspective, it's impossible for me to actually see it 100% from their perspective.
Right.
Although that makes me know that the only way I'm going to get as close to that as possible is by understanding that and listening.
Okay. And you said something about, their reality versus your reality. Now, do you think that there is just one reality? Do you think a thing is either true or it's not true, right?
Well, there's always exceptions to everything. But for the most part, yeah, I would say.
No, I would be, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I would be interested to see how that kind of fits into the conversation about what we determine is objective reality, though. Do you think that there could be a truth for somebody that's not a truth for somebody else, as far as like what actually manifests in reality?
Well, not from I wouldn't think so from an objective standpoint, no.
Okay, right. So, do you think it's incorrect, or maybe like sort of gaslighting, to bring up like statistical data or information that would indicate some perceived slights on one side or the other is not legitimate based on those statistics?
Yes. The thing about statistics is they are facts. Those are real numbers.
Right. It's a sample of a population.
How do you interpret those numbers is one piece to it. The other is what caused those numbers to be what they are.
Right. Yeah. For sure. All right. Well, I don't really have anything too much to add to that. I guess we're going to find out. Did you want to? Yeah. Did you want to plug MA? We do.
Well, visit metroplexatheist.org website. Get active, become a member, because with the current political climate, atheists are getting bashed right and left, particularly with this theocratic regime we have in place right now at the federal, state, and local level. So we've got to get active. If we don't make our voice heard, nothing ever will happen.
Right. And if you're a non-believer and you're living in District 5 or you're living in one of the districts in North Texas, this definitely has some impact on you. So get involved. Come visit us. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate your time.
Hey, Alex.
Great to see you
again.
Yeah.
Could you do me a quick favor and just explain rainbows to me?
Rainbows.
It's blown my mind. Every physicist have tried to explain rainbows to me. And I understand light refraction, prisms, water vapor. Yeah. Why is the rainbow so fixed in the sky? Why doesn't it move? Because rain falls, there's movement going on. Right. Why does it bounce off? Why isn't the rainbow shimmering?
Not everyone sees that, right? And not everyone sees the same rainbow that you do, by the way. And it changes on perspectives. When you move, you're not seeing it. Now, some people will argue that it's not just the light rays, but it's the way that it also refracts on your eye, which kind of makes it look the way it is.
Based on the individual?
Yeah.
Wow. That's Crazy. Now, I've also heard that it only looks like an arc because it's behind the horizon. It's actually a circle. If you're if you're way high in the air and you're looking down on one, it's a perfect circle.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Does that blow your mind?
Seen that. No, I've seen it.
It blows my damn mind. Oh, you have seen that?
I have seen. Well, pretty much close to a perfect circle. Yeah.
It's insane. Okay. What's the difference between parody and satire?
How hard you laugh.
Ooh, that's good. How hard you laugh. I don't know. I don't know the difference. They seem interchangeable to me, don't they?
Almost. I mean, we tend to look at satire. I think we give satire a little bit more of a leeway as a real art form versus doing, a parody of something which is just mocking. So satire.
Parody is more mocking.
I think it is.
That makes sense.
Satire has a purpose, usually.
If you had to believe two people that were talking, and you didn't have any other information other than this one's got a PhD in a field that is tangentially related to what they're talking about, but not really. And then there's another one who's an autodidact. He has been studying, he's got no formal education in it, but he's been studying it like a laser beam focus, like Aron. Not a real formal education, but he's been laser focused on what he's talking about. Yeah. Or someone with just a tangential PhD.
I wouldn't take the tangential PhD.
You go to autodidact?
I would simply because in my experience, although going through the rigors of PhD training does have some credibility, not all PhDs are created equal. A PhD from, I don't want to nail any
You're Ivy League, so all other PhDs are lesser, right? Columbia and Harvard, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I would look at the one who could present really compelling cases, was able to speak with the facts behind them, and not just extract opinion and claim opinion as fact.
Did you make a New Year's resolution? And if so, have you stuck to it?
I don't make New Year's resolutions.
Why not?
Because I'm not going to set myself up for failure like that.
Because they're so easy to break?
They are so easy to break, but honestly, when I look at January 1st, it's so arbitrary anyway. It's like, I don't want to wait until December 31st to think of something that I should be working on myself now.
That's good. Last one.
Yeah.
You got friends coming over. You want to really impress them. You're going to make something for dinner. What's your go-to, your knockdown, your big winner, your recipe, and how do you make it?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I told you these are off the wall.
That's a tough one.
People want to know what Alix Jules is going to cook.
Some people say I order Domino's or do whatever.
Roast.
Or get takeout or something.
You want to impress them. You want to make something. When I was a meat eater, it was roast duck and orange sauce. Now it's sour cream enchiladas. I can make a fucking with cilantro. What?
Yeah, some sort of roasted veggie, especially if it's vegan friends. If it's meat eaters, it would be either a sous vide or reverse seared steak.
A what?
A sous vide. Or
what's sous vide?
Sous vide. Sous vide is a different way of cooking, which uses water immersion to actually raise the temperature of the meat by slowly. So you're depending on your temperatures in the meat, you're going to be about 135, 120, etc.
For long, like a slow cook.
It is a slow cook, and it's water immersion.
Where did you learn that?
I learned
over
that
in Europe.
It's done easily in Europe. Yes, but it has gotten a lot of recent attention with the cooking shows. You watch the cooking shows?
Yeah.
Awesome. Sometimes.
Awesome. So I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I know you got to get your head straight for the game.
Yep.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Like you said, I want to see some black on black crime. I hope you come out on top, of course.
All right, hey guys, we're back. We're in the midst of the Q&A, or actually we just got done with cross-examine. We're going to be doing Q&A for the debate pretty soon. I got Aron here. Woo! So one of the things I wanted to ask you, How on point was that when Alex brought up the malleability of Christianity and how that every Christian you ask there has a different explanation of what Christianity is and what God is? Speak to that a little bit.
I mean, I had to go talk to one of my friends in the audience. I mean, asking, what do you have special pills? Because I know he has a PhD, so maybe he can bring special pills that keep him calm when he hears all this outrageous crap, like this guy was saying. You know that God never spoke clearly against slavery, so but God doesn't like slavery. If God didn't like slavery, why did he endorse it? Right? Exodus 21, 22. Exodus, God was very specific that you can go out and capture people
slaves
and sell them.
The heathens around you.
You can beat them senseless, and as long as the slave gets up in 2 days, then there's no harm, no foul, right?
Right.
You can do all of that. Oh, except for Jewish slaves, because they're special. Why? Because God is a racist. He likes Jewish people over everybody else. And even Jesus talked about the Samaritans as if they were dogs, right? He's using a racial pejorative. Right. And then he also said that you said you're going to spread your gospel not to non-Jewish people. We're not going to go talk to the Gentiles. We're not going to talk to the Samaritans. Right. You're only going to spread your, only
good news is only for Jews.
It's only for Jewish people, because we're only Jewish. That's it. It's entirely racist. And then God, right, who is not the same person as Jesus,
right?
God comes down and says, "Oh, well, you people coming out of Egypt, right? You are my chosen people. So you can go to Canaan, and I'll just eliminate all the Canaanites. Why? Because I'm a racist bastard, and they are not as good as you, right?" How can you have this pastor gets up and just says all this outrageous shit, and it's all so very wrong?
And they're clapping for him. They're like cheering him on. Like,
the fuck? Don't encourage this kind of insanity. I don't get it. Well, I don't want to call it insanity. In his case, it's something different. I don't know. It's like if you were taught to see something, even if it isn't there all your life, you're taught to pay homage and respect to this certain part of the wall, that's something special in your room, right? I mean, and you're just taught to respect that all your life. You're going to respect that.
Well, there is a certain wall in Israel that they actually revere as a holy object. So they write their prayers on it and roll it up and stick it in the cracks. And
I remember seeing this one cartoon that I thought was funny. Where it says the Christians pray to the ceiling, and the Jews pray to the wall, and the Muslims pray to the floor.
Right. Yeah. Right. You ask a Christian like their explanation of what they think certain things are, like their explanation of why they think slavery is permitted in the Bible, right? They have a different explanation, everyone that you ask. I mean, there are some common themes that run throughout.
Yeah, the thing about where slavery is different in the Bible than it is in American slavery, in American history. Fuck it is.
Was it ever moral to own another human being as property? And if it was, why did...
Well, hey, if God says so, then it's moral, right? And I've actually heard Christians make this argument that slavery is moral because God condoned it.
Divine command theory, right? Okay.
Yep. So everything God says goes, and because it's God's opinion, that makes it somehow not his subjective opinion. Because it's God's opinion, that's special pleading, so that makes it objective. Having an objective standard, meaning that we can all recognize what is moral or amoral, but we have a definition for what is moral and what's not. That's what makes it objective.
Yeah.
If we can take some example and we have a criteria by which to determine whether that is moral or not.
Right.
That's what makes it objective.
The facts of reality.
Yeah. My interpretation of what this guy pretending to speak for God said is not objective.
No.
And if it was, God's wrong.
Yeah.
Because slavery's still wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
There is no context.
When we know what is moral and what is not, God ends up being immoral.
Or not necessary. Or unnecessary, because
at the very least,
unnecessary, right? Like, I think we can figure this kind of thing out on our own. I don't think.
But what I'm upset with not just the pastor on the stand, but it is the audience that are cheering him on.
They're reacting so favorably to the things that he's saying.
Bunch of fucking lemmings.
Right, going right over the cliff, right?
Yeah, that's.
All right, so obviously Aron's real fired up. Can't
wait for the Q&A.
We're gonna go and get some Q&A.
I want to say
one more thing.
Alex was so soft-spoken and so moved in his words. I mean, he was very. What is it? He was speaking slowly. He was speaking
eloquently.
Calmly. He was. Yes, but the audience is like expecting something a little bit more jazzed up, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was moving. Rightfully, Alex was outraged. And I'm glad that he was, because if he wasn't, I'd be yelling from the back of the room.
Yeah, he knows how to pound the pulpit for sure in his way.
Yeah.
Figuratively speaking.
Because Alix is in a sense my pastor.
Yeah, okay.
He conducts the Fellowship of Free Thought, so he's the only person I've ever heard a sermon from repeatedly.
Fellowship of Free Thought, Alex. Shameless plugs. You got anything you want to plug, man, before we go?
Nah, not a thing. I'm good.
But
I want to do a debate. Put somebody on stage with me, and let's debate.
Well, we saw the Flat Earther one. That was pretty interesting.
No, I want a real debate. I don't want to just get. I don't want to get on that Flat Earther is so proud of himself. No, I'm sorry.
I think to be in the same room with you, that's why I was proud.
Shut up. the Flat Earther wasn't anything I was excited about. That the one, there was a couple of others that I did where I found some guy that believes something loony, and then see if you can reason with him.
As people do, right?
It's kind of fun. I'm from the metal age. I'm used to banging my head into a wall, so that's why I did it.
All right. Well. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you much.
Hey, welcome back to Atheist Edge. We are live at World of Beer, and I'm talking to a fellow member of Metroplex Atheist, Bryan Turk. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Nice seeing you, Jim.
Yeah, we're just going to do a couple minutes with him, chat with him. We're going around to, everyone and just kind of getting their idea. What do you think about this topic compared to the other ones?
I think it's a really important topic, a really important conversation to have. I think that it's a very important topic in our day and age, especially given the political and social environment we live in this country. I think that there's a lot of reasoning away that Christianity has to do in terms of its approach to racism.
Yep. Do you see us more divisive? The atheist or the non-believer in the believer community, do you see it more divisive now than ever? Or is it getting better? Are we making headways to each other?
I think so, I think so. I think that it's important to really just try to understand each other and to have constructive conversations.
Yep.
And not name call with each other, but really dig in deep to the things that separate us and find some common ground. And I think that's really important.
Have you been to these events before?
Yes.
You been to any Dallas ones?
Yes.
We're in Fort Worth, by the way. Okay, so there's in between Dallas and Fort Worth. There's in the mid cities, and there's Arlington, which is where Metroplex Atheist meets. They've had a couple there at a place called Sherlock's. And what I think is that's a central location that we can all, because Dallas-Fort Worth is the Metroplex is huge.
Yeah.
Would you like to see these events be more centrally located so everyone can attend them?
I would. Mid-cities is a perfect location.
Yeah.
It could be, Euless, Bedford, Arlington.
Yep.
I think that, you've got freeways that pretty much funnel everybody into that area. It's a good little happy medium.
Do you find yourself in some heated conversations on social media about religion or divisive topics?
Sometimes I really do, yeah.
What are your key takeaways for keeping the peace and actually making it a productive conversation?
Well, unfortunately, sometimes it does get very emotional. It really does. And, I guess basically, I just want people to be honest with themselves and honest with me. I don't like a lot of the circular reasoning that I see going on a lot of times when it comes to religion versus, atheism and that sort of thing.
Yeah. But do you see that on the non-believer side too? Do we use circular logic? Do you think that non-believers hold on to their ideals just as hard sometimes and they refuse to change their mind?
I think so, in some cases, yes. But I will like to qualify that and say atheism isn't a religion. There's no dogma attached to atheism. It's simply a position on a question. Okay? And I don't like the whole, trying to pigeonhole atheist into, hey, atheism is your religion. No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Based on the definition, it can't be a religion.
No.
That involves worship of a deity. That's what religion is, right? So,
right. Doctrines, dogma.
But based on a supernatural deity. Because you could have dogma and doctrines towards eating breakfast. It's a ritual that you do when you eat breakfast.
Yeah, sure.
If there's no supernatural phenomenon involved, it's not a religion. It's got to be based on an actual deity. That's what makes it a religion.
Correct.
Yeah. Right?
I agree.
Last question. If there was irrefutable proof of Yahweh right now, his hand comes out of the clouds, the debate's over. Everyone believes because we see him. There's no more debate. How would it change your life, and how would you live your life differently starting right now?
I would.
You wouldn't change at all? Would you pray?
No.
You wouldn't start praying?
I don't really see a point in doing that, because as a former Christian, I was praying for 30 plus years. I thought I felt the presence of God. I thought I felt he, she, or it moving in my life. I didn't. I don't, and I didn't. And
would you fear hell?
Absolutely not. I don't.
But we know hell exists now in this hypothetical.
Well, you just said God exists, but we don't know about hell.
Okay, Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament, the entire Bible is true.
Okay.
So now we know hell exists. Would you fear it, and how would it change your life?
Well, that is a different question, I guess.
Gotcha, bitch.
That is a bit.
That's a hard one, right?
That is a tough one.
No, it's a tough one for me.
That is a tough one too. Yes, it is. I tell you what. I mean, I would. I don't know. I would have some serious questions I would want to ask the Master of the Universe. And
what if no questions, please. This press conference, there's no questions. Just you. This is me, and you know there's a hell, and start getting off your ass and accept Jesus, and or you're gonna burn in hell.
Well, one thing that I would wonder about is which denomination of Christianity has it right.
Because a lot of them.
There are thousands of different denominations.
And a lot of them are completely incongruous.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Incongruous?
So you know what? I may be joined in hell with quite a few different Christians too that have it all wrong. So.
That's a really good point. No one's ever said that. No one's ever said. I've asked this same question to everyone that comes on the show, and no one's ever brought that up. There's so many different denominations that a substantial percentage of even Christians would go to hell based on what they believe, because they're not compatible with each other. That's good. Hey, Bryan, thanks for coming on.
All right, man.
Hey, enjoy the show.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, we are back. We just got done with the cross-examination, and we're about to hit the Q&A. I've got Dr. Zachary Moore here. We've had him on the show before. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
All right. You ready for some shotgun speed round? It doesn't have anything to do with this going on. Oh, first off,
fair enough.
What did you think of so far?
I think it's been a really great exchange. I'm perhaps a little bit biased because I suggested the topic and the speakers, but I think they're a really good match for each other. You know, I have a lot of respect for Alix. I have a lot of respect for Trey. I've been to his church several times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you live in the same town.
I live really close to him, and I think what he's doing with the church is a really good thing. And honestly, if more Christians, so when Trey said that he believes his version of Christianity is the true version, to be honest, I want that to be the case. I want all the other Christians to fall in line behind Trey. If that was the case, I'd have far fewer problems.
That would be a net improvement for Christianity.
I think it would be.
Well, that's a very kind thing to say to him.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Shotgun round.
Here we go.
Explain rainbows.
Rainbows. Oh my God.
It's blown my mind forever. I've had physicists explain it to me. Why don't they shimmer? Why do they stay static in the sky? Because rain falls. It's a movement.
Yes.
Why don't they move?
Oh, it's because it's acting as a prism of essentially. So it's refracting the light, the sunlight, and the sunlight comes in. Well, the sun is a big ball, right? So it comes in as essentially, you don't think of it this way, but it comes in as a ball of light or a circle of light that hits us, and it refracts through the clouds, and it goes in a circular direction. The same thing happens with sun dogs or other sun dogs.
What?
Sun dogs are also
around the moon.
Sort of a refraction of the light. Yeah, up in the sky.
It's around the moon, like a dog. Is it spelled D-A-H-L?
No, D-O-G. Yes.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I thought it was D-A-H-L for some reason.
There's a similar phenomenon that happens when it's very, very cold and there's ice crystals in the air. Like you can get a white rainbow.
Is it just 7 layers of different shades of white?
No, everything looks white.
Oh,
but it looks like a rainbow, but
I've never
it's white.
seen that.
Yeah.
What is the difference between parody and satire? What was Alex's answer to that? It depends on how hard you laugh at it.
Yeah,
one you laugh harder at.
My instinct would be to say satire is when I'm doing it to you. Parody is when you're doing it to me. Like, you're parroting me, and I don't like it, but I'm making a satire of you.
I'm gonna have to go back and think about that one.
I'm very highbrow.
That's good. What has more, oh, this is a PhD I'm about to ask us to. What has more credibility to you? You have two people. You have to assign credibility to two of them. One has a PhD in a field that they're talking about that is tangential to that field. And then another one is an autodidact like Aron, who really doesn't have any formal training but is laser focused on studying that particular study.
Well, if I knew them well, like if I knew the autodidact well, and I knew that they knew their field very well, I would give them the credit. So a PhD to me is, the value of a PhD is something like a learner's permit for somebody who's learning how to drive, right? So someone who has a PhD has shown that they know how to dig down really, really deep in one particular subject, but they're going to be completely off the cuff with pretty much anything else, but you can trust that if they do go exploring, they do know how to figure that out.
And knowing how to cite their sources and getting the references. And
so it's like somebody who has a learner's permit. Like if somebody has a learner's permit, you can say, well, they probably know how to drive. They've gone through the testing, they've seen somebody, and they've gotten some sort of documentation that shows they know how to do this. An autodidact is somebody who taught themselves how to drive, maybe the best driver in the world, but I don't necessarily know that right off the bat.
So you'd have to get to know.
So I would probably give the edge to the person with the PhD until I listened to what they had to say.
Until you saw the track record of the autodidact.
Until I found out maybe how well they've used that learner's permit, because some people get learner's permits and get licenses and cannot drive at all.
That's good.
Several PhD. There are lots of PhDs that get their degrees and then just make a complete mess intellectually afterwards.
That's good. Did you make a New Year's resolution, and have you kept to it thus far?
Not really. I don't really do resolutions. If I do decide to do something, I pretty much just do it. I tend to like noodle it for a long, long time. That drives my wife crazy because I'll be thinking about doing something. Like I just recently got a new computer, and I've been telling her for 2 years, I have been thinking about getting a new computer. I've been thinking about this, I've been thinking about that. And then I saw the right one, I saw the right deal, and I just bought it. And she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I've been telling you." So I don't really...
Meticulous about it,
yeah,
and then you pull the trigger.
I think a long time before I do anything. Very much like with when I left religion. It was a long, long process. It was a.
But then when it happened, it was.
When it happened, when I was finally ready to call myself an atheist, I thought, absolutely.
That might be an atheist. That might be genetic.
Maybe.
No, it's not.
Maybe.
It's probably cultural, but it seems like it's very common with the atheist community.
It might be, although my father...
meticulous, almost to the point of overthinking things.
My father tends to overthink things as well, and he's definitely not an atheist, so I don't know.
Last question.
Yeah.
You have people coming over to your house and you want to impress them. You're going to cook your go-to meal. What is the recipe, and what do you cook, and how do you do it?
So the last thing I did that impressed a lot of people, I made a big thing of clam and corn chowder with bacon.
You put it in a bread bowl?
No, I didn't, but I should.
Sourdough bread bowl, baby.
Next time. Yeah, so I didn't. It was just it was slow cooked. I cooked it over about 24 hours. The potatoes were just like completely disintegrating. There was a lot of cream. It was fantastic.
With the corn?
With the corn and the clam.
What kind of cream did you use?
Just whipping cream.
Whipping cream.
Yeah. Because I figured, corn chowder, I'm from Ohio, so corn chowder is clam chowder for people who can't get clams. But I thought, but I can still get clams and just put them in the corn chowder.
No one says you can't.
No one says I can't, so I did it, and it was fantastic.
You eat grits with cheese or not?
I like
Speaking of north versus south.
With cheese and shrimp.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, I like the southern style.
We'll get you back in there. Thanks a lot, Zach, for coming on.
Absolutely.
Oh, now we need the bumper.
Hi, I'm Dr. Zach Moore, and you're watching Atheist Edge.
Bam.
Atheist Edge. Walking the edge of what some consider offensive. But your feelings don't matter here. Only facts. Edgy commentary on the dangers of doctrine, the foibles of faith, the bullshit of belief, the stupidity of superstition, and the idiocy of indoctrination. With razor-sharp wit, curiosity, and critical thought, we take an unblinking look at today's religions. We are Atheist Edge.